Hello, it's your boy Davidoff. Welcome back to Movie Monday. Today is possibly another double, it should be, but just in case it's only one, it's this one. It is Gran Torino. So this was recommended by someone in a live stream chat on my main channel, and I was intrigued by what he said about it, so I thought I'd look it up, and it sounded interesting. There's different plots. There's different synopsis to this, but I'm reading the official IMDb one. Disgruntled Korean war I can't read. Disgruntled Korean war veteran. I keep pronouncing V first. Disgruntled Korean I'm gonna keep this in. Just so you know, sometimes it takes like 20 attempts to record the intro. It happens a lot to me, if you didn't know. I never show you that though, but today I'll show you. Disgruntled Korean war veteran Walt Kowalski, I got it right. He sets out to reform his neighbor, Thao Law. I think I pronounced that wrong. A Hmong teenager, I don't know what Hmong means, but probably an ethnicity? No, not ethnicity, I mean like from like a certain area. I don't know. You can explain that to me. A Hmong teenager who tried to steal Kowalski's prized possession at 1972 Gran Torino. Now I am aware it's a car, but yeah, this Korean war veteran, this old guy, I think this takes place in America. He owns this, like he's a widower. Based on what I've read about different synopses, he's a widower, and he's quite a grumpy person. But one thing he does have is his nice car, this nice beautiful Gran Torino. I haven't even seen it yet, but probably is beautiful. And his neighbor, who's under pressure from I think his cousin and from a gang, that his cousin's gang or something, they're pressuring him to do something, I don't know, but he tries to steal his car, tries to steal the Gran Torino. So this guy who owns the Gran Torino, the Korean war veteran, he tries to reform him, basically. So that's the synopsis. So let's see if it's good. I heard it is good. I mean, what's IMDb's rating? 8.1. Anything above a 7 on IMDb, normally it's good. Obviously, it's all subjective, and you may not like the popular stuff anyway, but still, like, if it's got above 7, there's a good chance that at least I'm gonna like it. So he's one of those types. Obviously, synopsis kind of tells you a bit about that, but he's a very grumpy old man. It's understandable at the start of the movie because his wife just died and he's at the funeral, so like I get it, but that's perfectly fine, and he clearly loved his wife, which is nice. Obviously she's passed away now, which is obviously sad, but he just hates everything. Hates people, hates things, everything irritates him. I'm sure there's many people in the world who can relate to him, in fairness. It's just the one thing that he cares about is that car. And then there's also some scenes with the neighbor family. It's an Asian family. I don't know if it's Korean, but I'm assuming they're Korean. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't, but I think it would make sense for the story if they were Korean, because he's a Korean war veteran. Hey, I said it first time. But yeah, there's a big Korean family next door, and they're just having food. I don't know what they're doing. They're just chilling. I don't know what they're playing, some sort of game. Yeah. So yeah, at some point, the guy who lives in that house, not the whole family, the guy who lives in that house will end up trying to steal that car, and then well, I mean, I've seen storylines like this where there's someone who's like very keeping to themselves, then someone else comes along, someone that's quite annoying, and that person changes them. A person comes along and it changes their outlook on life and changes who they are. And this might be one of those stories, like this grumpy old man, because it seems like, the story is going to be the kid tries to steal his car, he catches him, but instead of going crazy, he decides to try and reform him, and through that changes himself. That's what I'm guessing the whole thing of the movie is, but I'm only guessing at this point. It's only 12 minutes in, so let me shut up and keep watching. So his cousin, who's in the neighborhood, the neighbor's cousin, I said this earlier from the synopsis, but his cousin's part of a gang, an Asian gang, and they want to get him involved in the gang, and they're pressuring him even though he clearly doesn't want to. He doesn't even want to join the gang, but they're pressuring him into trying to steal the neighbor's car, which is obviously the main character. So that robbing scene happens so quickly because the kid goes in the garage. He hears a noise, gets a shotgun, goes in. The kid escapes and he ends up on the floor. The scene's so dark, like I couldn't quite figure out everything that happened without rewinding. But yeah, it just happened all so suddenly. So yeah, that's just the first interaction. I'm also wondering, like, he hasn't called the police, and it was dark, so maybe he didn't see it was the kid from next door. But still, like, I'm intrigued by that. Like if he knows it's him, either he knows it's him and hasn't called the police, or he doesn't know it's him. But either way, even then, wouldn't he call the police? That's what I'm interested about. Oh, that was a mad scene. I don't know why I should say that after I say what the scene is. The gangsters come back to the guy's house and they try and basically take him away because he doesn't join this gang. He clearly doesn't want to join this gang, but this gang keeps pressuring him, and they try to drag him away. Then his whole family comes out the house, tries to defend him. The gang tries to beat up his family. Well, I don't think really beating them up, but they're trying to like push him off. Like, what are you doing? And then the guy comes out with his big shotgun. He's like, get off my lawn, because the fight breaks into the next lawn, pointing a shotgun at the gangsters. I'm just like, yeah, just shoot one. It's only a movie, just bloody shoot one. Go on, I want to see it. Because these guys are clear pricks, these gangsters. He doesn't shoot them, but he's like, he properly goes like war mode. He's just like, I don't want to say the exact words he said, but he said like, we used to stack people like you back in Korea. We used to kill people like you, stack you like sandbags. I'm just like, this movie's brutal, my word. Anyway, the family start dropping him gifts, and he's just like, what are you doing? Stop this. they're just saying thank you, but he's just like, no. Just doesn't like people. Also, there's this pastor, this reverend from the church that promised his wife that he would talk to him, that he would keep an eye on him and get his confession in church. So this priest just keeps coming back, trying to talk to him, etc., trying to help him in life. He's just like, no, every time. He's back again, and this time, like, obviously because he's keeping an eye on him, he's just saying, why didn't you call the police? I had that question too, to be fair, but he just doesn't want to. He doesn't like people. Police are people as well. He just likes to do everything himself. That's just him. Very grumpy though. So this movie has a lot of racial undertones, which is quite interesting. Interesting to see that. So one of the neighbors, well, the neighbors, obviously, there's the guy, but obviously his sister, she's hanging out with this white guy. I'm just saying white guy because, I mean, what's his name? I forgot his name, the actor's name. He's a very familiar face. Oh yeah, that's why, of course he's his son. Obviously Clint Eastwood is playing the main character, but I mean, like, the guy I was talking about, the other guy, Scott Eastwood, his son. Right, okay. So he's hanging out with the Asian girl from next door, and they're walking into a neighborhood where there's black gangs and whatever. There's 3 black guys that stop him, and they're trying to, like, this girl's obviously arguing back with them. Why did I say obviously, as if you've seen it? Maybe you have seen it, but she's arguing back at them, and they're not having it, and this white guy's doing nothing. So you got 3 black guys harassing an Asian girl, and the white guy's just, that's supposed to be protecting her, he's just gone. Nothing much you can do anyways, because there's 3 of them. But the guy is there. Alright, I'm going to call him Clint Eastwood because I've heard about 10 times that his name's Kowalski. I keep forgetting his name's Mr. Kowalski. That's what I'm going to call him because that's what he likes to be called. He doesn't want to be called Walt. He wants to be called Mr. Kowalski. Mr. Kowalski's there. He witnesses everything. So he drives by to the side, tells the white boy to get out of here. Right, tells him to piss off, insults him basically because he doesn't like him either. He's pointing a gun at these 3 black guys. Insulting them as well, and then gets her out of there. I've not explained it well. I never explain scenes well, but that was an interesting scene. he seems to be like the hero of the neighborhood so far. Oh my god, wait. I was just like, I recognized this house, and I recognized Clint Eastwood in these clothes. I'm just like, wait a second. So this is the movie that meme is from. I've not seen the meme yet, but there's a meme where he He has a mug. He's holding a mug. He looks across the street, and he's disgusted. He's just like, and then I think he turns around and goes back in. I think that scene is from this movie. I'm pretty sure because I recognize the house that I have just seen. It's the scene. It's the. I've paused at the wrong moment. I don't care. There it is. He's holding the mug and he's disgusted. Although I thought he was standing up, as he's actually sitting down. Oh my word! What a discovery, bro. That was crazy timing. Like I was just like, I recognize that shirt and that house front. That's meme. And then the meme happens like 30 seconds later. So his son and his son's wife tried to give him brochures on his birthday to try and think about putting him in a retirement home. I think they want his house. I mean, I'm not gonna blame him for not liking his own son after that scene. I'm not gonna lie. Also, I was gonna say something before I noticed, like, oh, it's the meme. I was gonna say he has a dog, which is nice. I think he's a retriever. My dream dog. I've always wanted a dog, and the dog I want is a golden retriever. And he has, I don't know if he has a golden retriever, but it's very similar looking. So it might be the golden retriever. It's some sort of retriever, but he has a dog. But I was gonna say, like, it's funny how he doesn't like people in this movie, but he has time for a dog. You know, dogs are special. They're a man's best friend. Even the grumpiest of men can get along with a dog. This guy's voice is amazing, man. Clint Eastwood's voice in this movie. He sounds like old man Batman. Like if Batman was 70, 80 years old and grumpy, this is him. He'd be a good Batman. If there was ever a storyline where Batman is too old, Clint Eastwood from Gran Torino. There's your perfect casting. Okay, so Humong is an ethnicity. So I guess right, it actually is. So this girl next door, she's invited him for a beer with their family. They're having a party, a celebration of some sort, and it's his birthday, so that's good timing. But yeah, I heard her talk about Hmong people and what they do, their traditions. So I thought I'd Google it, and yeah, ethnic group living briefly in China and Southeast Asia and speaking Hmong. It's also a language. One of the languages also known as, I don't want to read all of it because I can't pronounce half the words. Since the late 18th century, the Hmong alone, along with the Miao groups, have slowly migrated out to southern provinces of China, where about 2.7 million still remain. So where do they live then? Vietnam, apparently. No, that's just where, okay. So they have people in Vietnam, China, even Australia. There's 3,000 in Australia. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. So they're originally from China, but like they're spread across the world. There's some, I mean, US, France. Okay, Canada, Argentina. Oh, that's interesting. It is interesting though, because he may be a grumpy old man, but like there's a reason behind it. Like he has a very dark past. Obviously, he's a war veteran. A lot of people, both in real life and in movies, who have gone through war, you know, they will change. They will be a certain way depending on what they did and how much they did and how long they did it for. It's not always about how long you were there either. Like sometimes 2 years can be worse than 5. It depends on what your personal experience is. Every soldier is different. But still, like he lived through quite a brutal war. So like he's got his demons, and yeah, like he's not at peace clearly. So I'm like, I assume he'll be changed by the end of this movie. So I'm wondering how this is gonna happen, because you know, there's an hour left and he's still grumpy, understandably, based on I mean, I don't know exactly what he did in the past. Obviously, I know it's just a movie, but I'm talking as if it's real. And I don't know what he did in the past, but clearly what he did is still haunting him to this day. So we're seeing some progress. He's working with the kid from next door. His family admitted that he tried to steal his car, so he actually didn't know it was him. But yeah, he's working for him to make up for it, and they're kind of like, you know, they're getting along. They're kind of like, they're not really friends yet. But, you know, they're having conversations, they're working together. The kid is noticing that he's coughing up blood, needs to see a doctor, he's caring about him. and the old man's being a bit more open. And also he's talking, he called his son to talk to him. That doesn't normally happen. So there's a scene of Kowalski and his Italian barber friend. They're teaching Tao how to talk like them, and it's quite a funny scene. And he uses that sort of talk in sort of a job, like he's trying to, because Clint, I keep saying Clint Kowalski, Mr. Kowalski knows people in the construction business, so he wants to get the kid into a job. So like they teach the kid how to talk in certain ways, and it helps him get the job actually. So that's pretty good. But it's helping him get a job. They're getting along. He's just helping him get a life, and he's telling him like, talk to that girl, you know, get a girlfriend as well. It's quite interesting, you know. He's helping this kid out who clearly needs some sort of guidance. He doesn't have a father figure, so he's being that sort of figure to him. And the old man himself, he's getting something out of it as well. Like he's interacting with someone, he's getting along with someone, having someone to spend time with. So yeah, like I'm liking this a lot so far. There's a lot of storylines like this where one character is just, you know, grumpy or sad or angry or whatever, comes across this person who they find annoying, but you know, they get along for some reason, and they change each other's lives for the better. Many stories like this, and this is another good example of it. They even do it in kids movies like Shrek and Donkey. that's an example. I don't know why I've brought it to Shrek and Donkey, but yeah, you get the point, right? There's so many storylines like this. I've seen many storylines, both in movies and shows, even games, where there's storylines like this, and I like this sort of storyline. So they're really doing it really well in this movie. So it's starting to get serious. So Tao, who's the kid next door, sorry, I'm terrible with names, but Tao, he's leaving work, and the gangsters, his cousin and his friends, they jump him. They force a cigarette onto his face, try and burn part of his face. They break some of the tools that Clint Eastwood gave them, Kowalski I should say. So yeah, that happens, and Mr. Kowalski decides to take revenge. He goes to where they live. Sort of not complete revenge anyway, but he waits till they all leave except one. And the one guy that's left, he throws him onto the lawn and beats him up. But I'm sure there'll be, you know, more happening after that, because he's just beaten one of them up. So there's going to be some chaos, I'm sure. But I hope at the very least they all get beaten up. That would give so much satisfaction. So Mr. Kowalski is allowing Tao to take his Gran Torino to take his new girlfriend on a date. I'm just like, that's very nice. But the issue is the gangsters are still after them. So I feel like something's going to happen to the Gran Torino. Oh boy! The gangsters are shooting up his house. So a lot just happened. It turns out it wasn't his house getting shot up. It was a neighbor's house where Tao lives. And Sue's now missing. Sue's the sister of Tao, who he also, like, Clint Eastwood's also made friends with, you know, the kid's sister as well. And she's currently missing. But yeah, they've shot up their house. No one's died. Wait. Sue's just come back all bloodied up. So it's not revealed the extent of what they did to her, but she's really messed up. She's blood all over. At this point, they all gotta die. Like, don't just beat them up. They've really gotta suffer. Yeah, like Kowalski's, he's already angry about it. As soon as she walks in the door, he is mad. He goes home, starts messing up his own stuff. I guess he kind of blames himself again, in a way, but also, you know, because of what happened, obviously he's kind of haunted him, because he's kind of seen stuff like that in war. And he still can't escape it after, you know, the war's over. The confession scene is so funny, man. Because he's fighting these demons, right? And he finally goes to the church to confess his sins, his sins to the Father. And it's nothing about the war. Like, he says 3 things had happened in his life, and one of the things is I kissed this girl, the wife's in the other room, a while ago. I'm just like, okay, right. Okay, the second one was I sold a boat and didn't pay the taxes. It's basically stealing. I'm just like, this is what's been bothering you your entire life? I'm baffled. So Mr. Kowalski has locked Tao in the basement because Tao wants revenge, but Kowalski wants to go on his own to the place. But it's filled with gangsters, and they're probably expecting them. So what's the plan here? Like, Like, obviously you need to get revenge because they really messed up the girl, and obviously they've been harassing Tao and the family for a while. But what it did to the girl, that was really brutal. Like, it messed him up as well because he was, you know, she was a sweet girl, always positive, you know, always persistent in terms of, you know, looking after him. And she was friends with him before Tao was. So, like, you know, and she introduced him to the family. He had good times with them. So when she walked in the room all effed up, that really set him off. He was already angry from Tao because he literally went to their crib to beat one of them up. But, like, what happened after that, you know, after what's happened, like, something's got to happen to them, right? So, but he's going alone, and there's a lot of them, and they're expecting him. So what's going to happen? I don't know. So he tells, he calls the girl and he tells her, your brother's locked in the basement, go and get him. Okay, that's interesting. So now he's at the gangster's place, and they see him. He's now standing outside. I'm intrigued. It's interesting because the reverend, the pastor, the church reverend was there at the gangster's house with 2 cops because he wanted them to stay there just in case there'd be bloodshed. But after a few hours, the cops said, no, it's too much. We have orders, we have to go back, and you have to come with us. Well, there is bloodshed possibly about to happen now. So now Kowalski is... I mean, the gangsters have come out, they're pointing their guns at him. At least one of them is, the cousin is. But he's trash-talking them. Interesting tactic. So now neighbors, there's people coming out to witness this. Now I'm very intrigued now. What's gonna happen? Okay, so he gets a smoke out. He asks if you got a light, and then he reaches into his pocket as if he's getting a gun, whips his hand out, doesn't get a gun out, but he's whipped his hand out, so the gangsters just start shooting him. He's dead. He's been shot dead. So where's the part where the gangsters suffer? Because they've not suffered here. Okay, so there's a Huang officer. I think I pronounced that ethnicity wrong, sorry. But there's an officer, there's police outside the house now. So all the gangsters have been arrested. And because they shot him and he was unarmed, they're going to go away for a long time. Was that the point? Because he went there without a gun at all. Like, I thought just him pulling out just his hand. I think it was a lighter he pulled out. I thought that was just, you know, just the trick. I thought maybe he had a gun on him or something. He didn't have a gun at all. Was that the point? Was he trying to get them arrested by shooting an unarmed man? And there were people watching as well. They really emphasized that in the scene. So there's witnesses. I mean, I guess that is the point. I'm always slow to get things sometimes, but I guess that is the point. That was his way of, like, he wanted to get the gang away for good. There's killing all of them. Maybe Rambo would do that. But what he did was, I mean, I guess he was finally satisfied with his life. He decided it was okay for it to be over. He gave his life for the Asian family next door by getting shot dead by the gangsters threatening them and assaulting them. I mean, it's smart, but also I kind of felt like he deserved a bit more of a life just for being that heroic. But you can't have everything in life. So this movie starts with a funeral. There are 7 minutes left, so I'm assuming it ends with a funeral as well, because now it's his funeral. Damn, that's sad. That's very sad. But I guess that's the point. I guess he was trying to get the gangsters away for good, and that was the way to do it. Okay, wait, I had to pause it, because the funeral's quite a short scene. It then moves to a will. And the first part is he wants to leave his house to the church because his wife would have liked it, which actually that makes sense. I feel like they'd put this will in for a reason. There's no way it's just like, my family has this, family has that. I mean, the first one is literally the church can have this house. But I think the neighbors might get something. And it might be the car, just judging by the way the movie's gone. So I figured something out, guys. They must have, maybe the kid gets the car. Right, that's my prediction. Let me watch this. Yep, just like I said, he leaves him the car. What I love the most is the fact that his son, his son's wife, and his son's kids are so disappointed because they don't get the house which they clearly wanted. They try to put him in a retirement home to get the house in the first place. The granddaughter actually wanted a car. That was the scene right at the start of the movie. I didn't mention that, but during the funeral she asked, like, can I have the car? Can I have a sofa or whatever? I mean, it didn't seem like his son and his son's family really loved him. Maybe they did in some way, but like, they tried to put him in a home to take his house. The daughter wanted a car, and according to what Mr. Kowalski said near the start of the movie to his son, apparently his son's wife has gotten all of his wife's jewellery, his late wife's jewellery. So even though he admitted he wasn't close to his sons, that's the third confession I forgot. He wasn't close to his two sons. That was one thing he was guilty about, but like, he left nothing to his son. And I feel like it's because of the way his son and his family acted towards him, especially after his wife died. Like, that's your mother, mate, but you're disrespecting her with your family. I'm just like, that's actually kind of fitting in that way. And the gangsters get locked up. Tao gets to Gran Torino, just looking up for that family. That was a good movie. That was a good movie. A lot of racial words were used, a lot of racist words, but that doesn't make it, you know, wrong or bad. Racism is bad, obviously, but like, the way it's used in this movie, it works for this movie. But I like what it did with it. I like what it did with it. And, that's a very good movie, very solid. I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10. I'm glad it came out when it came out, because if this came out in 2022, I feel like a lot of people wouldn't like it for obvious reasons. But this is a great movie for its time, and I think it ages well. I think it's completely fine, and it really works. So yeah, that was definitely worth to watch. Clint Eastwood's a great actor. Like, I've seen him in other movies. I know how good he is. Like, he is incredible. He's a legend. But I've never seen this, and he was incredible in this. I love his voice though. Like, as I said earlier, he sounds like old man Batman. But yeah, 8.5 out of 10. Highly recommend it. It's definitely worth watching. Yeah, this is your boy Davidoff. Please like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a good day, and see you.